Hey, Warrior Saints! Happy Thursday. Father Chris here. Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people with us. We've been talking this week about chaos and the chaos that we see in the world and the chaos that we feel within our own hearts and minds. I mean, this world is a stormy one, much like the world was or the sea was when Jesus walked on water in Matthew 14. And by focusing on Christ, Peter even was able to get out of the boat and walk on the water. The moment he looked away from Jesus, down he went. When he focused on the chaos, down he went. And the message for us is we've got to focus on Christ, living a Christ-like life. It means we have to be aspiring to become warrior saints. Tough men and women, tough young people who are striving and fighting and scrapping to become as Christ-like as we possibly can, one day after the next. One of the battlefields, let's say this, one of the arenas in which we find chaos is sometimes our relationships with other people, right? Like that may be really a big battleground. Yesterday we talked about the battleground of the heart. Today we're going to talk about the battleground of the world, people out in the world that we talk to, right? Like it's tough sometimes, whether it be a spouse or a child or a significant other, a boyfriend or girlfriend, someone you love, a parent, a coworker, people you work with, people you employ or are employed by, even strangers on the street. It comes most definitely on the interwebs where you engage all these people who are your friends, even though you may not know them, right? Like it's a battlefield, and we can just say it. We're going to be honest about it. So how do we deal with that kind of stuff? Like, because we've been, expressing all week what we really want is peace. Like we don't like the chaos, right? It's dissonance. It's like uncomfortable inside when we are always facing chaos. So how do we find some of that peace, especially in the battlefield of relationships? I think the first thing that we have to keep in mind is that in all things, our focus must always be on Christ. And I don't mean that you're always looking at iconography of Jesus or always in prayer. Those things are essential and you got to do them. But to focus on Christ doesn't mean that we're looking at pictures of him. It means that we are striving to emulate him, right? We have been called as warrior saints, those who are striving and aspiring to become warrior saints, to imitate Christ. I mean, he says it. It's not even, you can't get any clearer. You want to be with me? Take up your cross and follow me, right? He's calling us into action. If we are first focused on Christ, it means that we're following him, carrying our own cross, which is, in our parlance, to live a crucifixional life. If you want to have good relationships with other people, you have to first set your will aside so that you can make room for God's will. Once you find that, you're going to see that God's will is to sacrifice your own ego for the sake of another person, right? In relationships, it's not about being right all of the time. There are some moments, they're few, but there are some moments where we need to be right. But the rest of the time, the lion's share of our lives should be spent in trying to win, not just to be right. And you may be saying, what you talking about, Father Chris? What I'm talking about is, I don't want you to be right. I want you to win. And I define right as saying the following. My point is correct, therefore yours is incorrect, therefore you are stupid and wrong and all the rest of the things that we say or think. Winning, in contrast, is healing or maintaining or rebuilding or starting a healthy relationship. And sometimes to establish a healthy relationship means that we have to sacrifice some of our own ego, some of our own desire, i.e. crucifixional, in order to make that peace and that harmony fit. Does that make sense? Like if you run around, especially on the internet, and try to always show why you are right and the other is wrong, you are going to lose time and again. If you want to win, if you want to have those healthy relationships, kind of overcoming that chaos that you feel when that argument starts, start by looking to win. To win means that the other person also has to come out with some dignity and some victory, right? It's not always about smushing the other. It's about building the other. It's about putting the other ahead of even yourself. Jesus himself shows us this when he was willing to lift all of us up unto salvation, when he sacrificed himself, like literally on the cross. Does that make sense? That's the call. You want to overcome this chaos? You want to find that peace, which I know we do, in relationships with other people, you got to do it Jesus's way. Your way hasn't been working. The world's way hasn't been working. That's why the chaos only grows. The more of it we consume, the bigger the monster gets, right? Christ's way conquers that chaos. It's our call to follow it. It's our call to say, you don't want the chaos? You want the peace? Get on the way of the warrior saint. Let me show you how to do it. That's what Jesus is telling us, right? It's a crosswalk. Don't miss what I meant. It's not a crosswalk like crossing the street. It's a walk while you're carrying your cross. A crosswalk. I don't know where that came from, but you get my point. You want to walk on the way of the warrior saint, you got to carry your cross. We're going to help you do that. Like we're just going to continue to pound and grind and teach to the best of our ability to help you do that, because it ain't easy, right? Like it's always simple, as we say, but it never is easy. When you visit warriorsaints.org, you're going to find the best we've got to give. And we appreciate all of you people. We really do. I mean, there are so many of you, and our minds are blown. Our gratitude could never be fully expressed. But for the rest of us who are not yet on the way of the warrior saint, it's time. Visit it. Subscribe to the way of the warrior saint. Let the gospel guide you as you carry your cross on your own walk on the way of the warrior saint.